order, huh?
At ease. Welcome family and friends, dignitaries, and most of all, welcome to all our military personnel and their families. Thank you for choosing to be here on this Sunday afternoon. At this time, I ask all who are able to please unite by standing, removing your hats, and saluting our flag, placing your right hand over your heart while joining the Watertown Elks Jolly Works Band and singing the Star Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed, and the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming on the rocket's right land, the bombs bursting in air. They proved one night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Flag bearers, can you please grab your flag and be seated? Ready? Two.
All right, thank you. Would you please be seated? Watertown area will hold our flag while Wayne Everett explains meaning behind the 13th pole.
The portion of the flag denoting honor is the canton of blue, containing the stars representing states our veterans served in uniform. They feel the blue dresses from left to right and is inverted only when draped as a funeral cloth over the casket of a veteran who has served our country honorably in uniform. In the United States Armed Forces, at the ceremony of retreat, the flag is lowered, folded into a triangle, and kept under watch throughout the night as a tribute to our nation's honored dead. The next morning it is brought out and at a ceremony of reveille, flown high as a symbol of belief in the resurrection of the body. The folded flag ceremony represents the same religious principles on which our great country was originally founded. The first fold is a symbol of life. The second fold is a symbol of our belief in eternal life. The third fold is made in honor and remembrance of the veteran departing our ranks and who gave a portion of their life for the defense of our country to attain peace throughout the world. The fourth fold represents our weaker nature. As American citizens trusting in God, it is Him we turn to in times of peace as well in times of war for His divine guidance. The fifth fold is a tribute to our country. In the words of Stephen Decatur, our country in dealing with other countries may she always be right, but it is still our country, right or wrong. The sixth fold is for where our hearts lie. It is with our heart that we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The seventh fold is a tribute to our armed forces. For it is through the armed forces that we protect our country and our flag against all enemies, whether they be found within or without the boundaries of our republic. The eightfold is a tribute to the one who entered into the valley of the shadow of death, that we might see the light of day, and to honor our mother, for whom it flies on Mother's Day. The ninthfold is a tribute to womanhood. It has been through their faith, love, loyalty, and devotion that has molded the character of the men and women who have made this country great. The tenfold is a tribute to Father, who has also given His sons and daughters for the defense of our country since they were born. The 11th fold represents the lower portion of the seal of King David and King Solomon and glorifies the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The 12th fold represents an emblem of eternity and glorifies God the Father, the Son, and Holy Ghost. The 13th and last fold, when the flag is completely folded, the stars are uppermost, reminding us of our national motto, "In God We Trust." After the flag is completely folded and tucked in, it has the appearance of a cocked hat, ever reminding us of the soldiers who served under General George Washington, and the sailors and Marines who served under Captain John Paul Jones, and were followed by their comrades and shipmates in the United States Armed Forces, preserving for us the rights, privileges, and freedoms we enjoy today. At this time, I invite anyone who has brought a folded flag for a loved one, veteran served, to step forward and state their name and place the flag lovingly on the altar behind the podium, please.
This is for my father, Howard Arbogast, who also served in World War II.
Father, served in the Marine as a paratrooper. Dad.
love and reckless, we were just two kids. When I went and signed my name, now here I am, just a few months later, coming home to you. I'm flying with my brothers, yeah, we're all real hard. We're all packed up and heading home. And if you're reading this, there'll come a time real soon. Family, friends, and flowers fill the room. There's two men who starch white gloves, hold the colors till they touch. It's probably more than I deserve, but I'm proud to get this much. Sending all the love I ever had inside this folded land. Now look at you, you're rounding out, but baby, very well. A little boy or girl is still too soon to tell. Wish I could be there now, road. And if you're reading this, there'll come a time real soon. Running through your head, the questions why. As two men start to love, all the colors till they touch. It's probably more than I deserve, but I'm proud to get this love. Sending all the love I ever had inside this folded flag. It'll sit here on the mantle for many years to come. And every time we pass it by, I hope you'll feel my love. Two men starch white gloves, all the colors till they touch. It's probably more than I deserve, but I'm proud to get this much. Sending all the love I ever had inside this folded flag. Sending all the love I ever had inside this folded flag.
Thank you very much. That was awesome. Members and guests, the purpose of this service is to honor our country's flag, to celebrate the anniversary of its birth, and to recall the achievements attained beneath its folds. We are also here to honor and recognize the men and women who have dedicated or currently dedicate their service to ensure our freedom and rights of this great nation by proudly serving or have served in the military. For they are the reason Old Glory still shines so brightly and tall. We must never ever forget the contributions and sacrifices these family, friends, and even strangers have given, even up to the ultimate sacrifice. It is quite appropriate that such a service should be held by the Order of the Elks, an organization that is distinctively American, intensely patriotic, and without comment. Esteemed Lady Knight, what are your fraternal aims of a benevolent and protective Order of Elks?
To inculcate the principles of charity, justice, brotherly love, and fidelity to promote the welfare and the happiness of mankind, to uphold our country and its laws, and to quicken the spirit of American patriotism.
Esteemed Lady Knight, what is the significance of the American flag?
It is emblematic of the crowning virtue, charity.
Esteemed Loyal Knight, what is the significance of the American flag?
It is emblematic of justice for all.
Esteemed Lecturing Knight, what is the significance of the American flag?
It is the symbol of brotherly love.
Lodge Esquire, what is the significance of the flag from the station of the Exalted Ruler?
It is a symbol of fidelity.
Charity, justice, brotherly love, and fidelity are the cardinal principles of our order, and they are exemplified in all of our services. By them, we teach love, country, and to our countrymen, and loyalty to our American way of life. To be an elk is to be an American citizen who lives for their country and is ready to die for it. Please stand. Our chaplain, Lord Zito, will lead us in prayer.
Almighty God, in this hour of patriotic observance of the birthday of the American flag, we ask you to bless our flag and the people of these United States. For all that our flag represents, both at home and abroad, we thank thee. And through all of our history as a nation, it has been an ensign of freedom, liberty, and opportunity. And through the years to come, may this flag wave as the banner of liberty, freedom, and enlightenment. May this service bring to each of us a sense of loyalty to our country, enable us to be better patriots, truer citizens, and more loyal Americans. To thy glory and to the honor of this great nation. Amen.
Amen.
Everyone, please be seated while we take a moment to reflect on the Elks member Paul Dominguez plays America the Beautiful on the cello. Thank you, Paul, for that beautiful music. That we may better understand the meaning of our flag, I call upon Dave Tacono for the history of the flag.
Heraldry is as old as the human race. It carries the banners that have been accustomed among all peoples in all ages. These banners usually contain some concept of the life or government of those who fashioned them. The evolution of the American flag marks the progression of the government and the American people. From the founding of Jamestown, Virginia in 1607 until 1775, the flag of England was the flag of the peoples of America. Present the pine tree flag. In 1775, the pine tree flag was adopted for all colonies, vessels, and this was the banner carried by the constitutional forces at the Battle of Bunker Hill. present the snake flag. The Southern colonies from 1776 to 1777 used the snake flag. Present the St. George, St. Andrew's flag. In the latter part of 1775, the Canadian governors appointed a committee to consider the questions of a single flag for the 13 colonies. That committee recommended the design of 13 alternate stripes of red and white, and the azure field of upper corner bearing the red cross of St. George and the white cross of St. Andrews. John Paul Jones, the senior lieutenant in the flagship Alfredo, hoisted the flag to the masthead on December 3rd, 1775. And 1 month later, it was raised over the headquarters of General Washington at Cambridge, Massachusetts, in compliment, as he wrote, to the United Colonies. The flag, called the Continental Colors and the Grand Union, was never carried in the field by the Constitutional Land Forces, but it was used by the Navy as an exclusive ensign and was the first American flag to receive the salute of honor. A salute of 11 guns from the Fort of Orange in the Dutch West Indies. Present 13 Star flag. In response to general demand for the banner more representative of our country, the Congress on June 14, 1977 provided that the flag of the United States will be 13 stripes of alternating red and white, and that the union of 13 stars, white on the blue field, representing a new constellation. It is generally believed that the May or June of 1776, a committee consisting of George Washington, Robert Morris, George Ross, commissioned Betsy Ross as a Philadelphia Quaker to make the flag with a rough design was left to her. And it is said she suggested that the stars should have 5 points rather than 6. The star banner was first flown at Fort Sandwich, called Fort Schuyler, at that time near the city of Rome, New York, August 3rd, 1977. It was under fire 3 days later in the Battle of Workensee, August 6, 1977, during a British and Indian attack. The first official salute to the Stars and Stripes was given on February 14, 1778, by France on a French coast when the Ranger, under command of John Paul Jones, was saluted by the French fleet. This flag, then carried by the Ranger, was made by a young woman of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, from stripes of their best silk dresses and the white wedding gown of a recent bride. It is said that the same Ranger flag was flown by Joan's ship, the Bonhomme Richards, as a thrilling fight by moonlight upon the high seas. With the British Soviet Sargas, with the Sargas struck her cross, an immortal fame of John Paul Jones was ensured as the intrepid defender of the youthful republic. Present the 15 Stars and Stripes flag. The original 13 Stars and Stripes represented the original 13 colonies. In 1775, 2 additional Stars and Stripes were added to represent admission to the Union of Vermont and Kentucky. Under this banner of 15 Stars and Stripes was fought the War of 1812. It was the site of it flying over Fort McCoy on September 14, 1814, that inspired Francis Scott Key to write what has now become our national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner. Miss Margaret Young, who cut the stars for that particular banner, was the mother of Henry Sanderson, the Grand Exalted Ruler of the Order of Elks in 1884. Present the 13 stripes, 1 star flag. adopted this resolution that at the day after July 4th in 1818, the number of stripes should be 13, and that the blue field should carry 1 star in each of the 20 states of the Union, and that a new star should be added for each state thereafter admitted. Present the 48-star flag. Since 1818, there has been no change in the flag design except that 28 new stars were added before July 4th, 1912. And the flag of 48 stars was flown over this nation for 47 years until just before the Vietnam War. Is that the 50 flag?
Bad lighting. Really bad.
On July 4th, 1959, a star was added for Alaska, our first non-connected state, and a year later, Hawaii, our island state, added as the 50th star. Our present flag, 50 stars and 13 stripes, is accompanied by the POW-MIA flag. Flag represent and recognize the flight and demise of special groups of our armed forces who were prisoners in war and still remain missing in action.
Thank you, David. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like now to introduce the veterans that are attending today's flags. Please hold your applause until after I have entered them all. Please stand, if able, when I call your name. Pine Tree flag, Ken Zork. The Snake flag, Dan Schreck. St. George, St. Andrew's flag, Dick DeCono. Stars flag, 13 stars flag, Mike Myers. 15 stars and stripes, Dick Mueller. 13 stripes and 1 star, Sergeant First Class, Jackie Grimm. 48 star, Brian Arbogast. The 50 star flag, Petty Officer First Class, Terry Hilbert. And the POW-MIA flag, Jerry Hepp. Flag bearers, continue standing as I ask all other veterans and those currently serving our great nation to stand if able and be recognized. Join me in thanking these men and women for their dedication and participation in today's ceremony.
You may be seated. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Would everyone please stand and salute our flag? As this emblem is first in our hearts as little Americans, so it is close to our altar as loyal elks. The gentle breeze with lingering caress kiss the folds of no flame which can compare with its beauty. There is no such red in budding rose, in falling leaf, in sparkling wine. No such white in April blossom, in crescent moon, or mountain snow. No such blue in woman's eye, ocean's depth, or heaven's stone. And no such pageantry of clustering stars and streaming light in all that spectrum of the sea and sky. Please be seated. Our flag is at once a history, a declaration inspiration and a prophecy. It represents the American nation as it was at its birth. It speaks for what it is today. It holds the opportunity for the future and add other stars to this glorious constellation. The Benevolent Protective Order of Elks is the first and only fraternal body to require formal observance of Flag Day. In July of 1908, the Grand Lodge of this order at Dallas, Texas, then assembled, provided for the annual nationwide observance of Flag Day on the 14th of June in each year by making it mandatory upon each subordinate lodge of the order. This unique distinction as the strongest promoter of Flag Day is the most becoming to our Order of Elks. This order is distinctly American. Only American citizens are enabled to join, and has no foreign affiliations. It has linked its destiny with the destiny of our country and made the flag its symbol of self-dedication to God, to country, and to our fellow men. Once again, my friends, I ask that if you can, rise and sing. God bless America.
Stars and Stripes, flag of the United States of America, the worldwide hope of all who under God will be free to live and to do His will. Upon its fold is written the story of America, the epic of the mightiest, the noblest in all history. In the days when people of the world groveled in abject homage to the heresy of the divine right of the kings, a new constellation appeared in the western skies, the Stars and Stripes, symbolizing the divine right of all to life, liberty, happiness, and peace under endowment by their Creator. To what man or woman is given words adequate to tell the story of the building of this nation. An immortal story is written in blood and sweat, in heroic deeds and unremitting toil, in clearing the primeval forests and in planting of vast prairies where once the coyote and buffalo roamed. Onward swept the nation, spanning wide rivers, leaping vast mountain ranges, leaving in its path villages and farms, factories and cities, till at last this giant nation stood astride this continent, from the Atlantic to the Pacific. This is the heritage of the people of the United States. It has been repurchased by each succeeding generation and must be re-won again and again and again until the end of time, lest it too shall pass like the ancient empires of Greece and Rome. The price of liberty is eternal vigilance. What was won at Lexington and Concord and Bunker Hill had to be repurchased at Ticonderoga and Yorktown. Thanks for putting that word in there for me. What John Paul Jones achieved upon the high seas in the War of Independence had to be repurchased by Commodore Perry on Lake Erie in the War of 1812. The prestige of Admiral Dewey's victory at Manila Bay in 1898 was re-won by the naval battles in the seas about the far distant islands of the Pacific after the sneak attacks upon Pearl Harbor and Manila in 1941. It summoned our country to assume its role in World War II. What our troops achieved under the Stars and Stripes at Chateau Thierry and Flanders in World War I. Their sons were required to repurchase in World War II in the bloody trek across northern Africa, on the beachheads of Europe, and in the Battle of the Bulge. The flag of our American men raised at Iwo Jima was the same flag later raised in defense of Incheon, Busan, and Pork Chop Hill in far-off Korea. Then another generation under the same flag bled to stem the threat of communism far-off Vietnam. Our young people were again called to carry our flag in defense of a free world in the actions of Grenada and Panama. Willingly, our brave men and women carried our flag and the honor of the American people into battle upon Operation Desert Storm. And who among us will ever forget the sight of firefighters raising our flag over the ruins of the World Trade Center, military personnel draping our flag on the side of the Pentagon, or the citizens of Somerset County, Pennsylvania, placing our flag near the site where brave Americans died during the hijackers of Flight 93. No other symbol could have offered such comfort as we still today endure the horrors of those days. Today, American armed forces carry our flag in the villages of Iraq, the mountains of Afghanistan, and the jungles in the Philippines, and wherever terrorism may reside. Their struggle against the sponsors of terrorism is the hardest battle yet, and this threat to our nation and to our way of life is certainly as great a challenge as our flag has ever seen. The resurgence of patriotism since September 11, 2001 has rekindled respect for our flag. Today we see the Star-Spangled Banner wherever we turn, on homes, businesses, automobiles, and billboards. Such displays stimulate our love of our nation and for what it stands. They remind us of the sacrifices being made by the men and women of our armed forces around the world, and they are a tribute to the heroes of the police and fire departments all over our nation. The greatest significance of this flag, however, lies in the influence it has in the hearts and minds of millions of people. It has waved over the unparalleled progress of a nation in developing democratic institutions, scientific and technological knowledge, education, and culture. It has served as a beacon for millions of poor and oppressed refugees abroad, and stands as a promise that the underprivileged will not be forgotten. What is the meaning of the flag of the United States? There can never be a definitive answer to that question. There are people in this world who see it as a symbol of imperialism. Others see it as the destiny of the people. A reference to these and similar views of the flag was resolved by Woodrow Wilson when he said, "This flag which we honor and under which we serve is the emblem of our unity, our power, our thought and shape of this nation. It has no greater character than that which we give it from generation to generation. That choice is ours." Only love, true love of our fellow man, can create peace. The emblem and token of that love is the Stars and Stripes, the symbol of our American way of life. Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. Lodge, Esquire. How shall we further honor our flag?
The flag is formally honored by the Pledge of Allegiance. This pledge was written in 1892 by Francis Bellamy and published in the Youth's Companion as part of the patriotic campaign of that magazine. The pledge did not become part of the flag code until 1942, and in 1954, the phrase, "under God," was added.
If you are able, please stand and pledge ourselves to never forget the principles represented by this flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everyone, please be seated.
It is my honor to introduce today's guest speaker, former Staff Sergeant David Clark.
Thank you for the introduction. When I was initially asked to speak briefly on what the flag means to me, I found myself thinking that seems kind of silly. Because surely the flag means the same to me as it does to everybody else. But when I actually thought about it, I quickly realized that nothing could be further from the truth. I found myself going all the way back to my childhood, to dig deep down, and truly find what the flag means and represents to me. Going back, I could not recall ever specifically being told what the flag should mean, but simply that it deserved my respect, and I learned the U.S.'s rich history in the process. Early on, it must have resonated with me that the flag represented freedom, because years later, my parents played back a recording that I made as a child of acting out being a radio host or DJ, playing Weekly Greenwoods, God Bless the USA. So clearly, even early on, the sight of Old Glory waving in the wind stirred an overwhelming sense of pride in my heart, just as it still does today. What the flag meant to me personally continued to change and grow as I did, even if I didn't realize it. As I progressed further in life and donned the uniform, layers of meaning were continuously added. The flag now represented not just freedom, but also the men and women, now my brothers and sisters, who had bravely fought for and defended everything that she represented. It represented strength of character, unwavering bravery, and perseverance in the face of adversity. It represented a nation of individuals capable of rallying under a common cause, no matter their differences, to overcome any obstacle. It became a symbol to any and all that so long as the flag still flew, there would always be hope. It symbolized that what was right and true and just, and I was proud to be part of it. And so throughout my years of service, I wore the flag as a badge of honor and a constant reminder of what my actions needed to live up to. My heart still swells with pride every time I see the flag flying. My eyes still tear up when I hear caps playing, knowing the cost of what the red, white, and blue stand for. Deep down, I know I'll never be able to fully express in words everything the flag truly means and symbolizes to me. I want to personally thank you for the opportunity to share what the flag means to me today.
And now our final music selection, God Bless America. Bless the USA. You may be sitting. That was our own, thank you for, introducing Lee Christopherson on vocals. We have the pianist, I got that. Jeff Presley on piano. And Brady on vocals and drums. In conclusion of the observance of Flag Day, let us rededicate ourselves to the flag of the United States, and may the principles of charity, justice, brotherly love, and fidelity ever increase in each of us. The chaplain will lead us in prayer.
May this service bring to each of us a sense of loyalty to our country and enable us to be better patriots, truer citizens, and more loyal Americans, to the glory and to the honor of this great nation. Amen.
Amen.
I now declare this service closed. Thank you so much for coming and join us in this great